and gentlemen, welcome back to another video and welcome to my top 10 sports movies of all time. This was recommended after I did my top 10 sports video games of all time list, and after a couple days of thinking and being pretty careful about my placements, I think I have assembled what I call my current top 10 list. Again, all opinionated, we've all seen different movies, certain movies have evaded me. This is not supposed to offend anyone. Unless you disagree with any of my placements, then you can get out! Couple of plugs before we hop right into it. Don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel, Waggle, or Prize Picks. By using my codes on G Fuel or Waggle, you'll save a discount on any of their products, and by using it at sign up on Prize Picks, you're gonna guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. As always, remember to play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, folks, so as always, before we actually get into the top 10, I have 5 honorable mentions. These are movies that were right on the bubble, right on the cusp of being top 10 sports movies, but I couldn't put them any higher. In no order, those movies consist of The Hoosiers, Rocky, The Longest Yard, Waterboy, and the one that'll probably get some groans, Field of Dreams. Look, dude, I saw the movie one time, like 15 years ago with my brother, who loves the movie. I can't remember a lot other than if you build it, they will come. It's a good movie, I'm not that connected with it. Now, actually getting into the real list. So, starting off with number 10, we have The Greatest Game Ever Played. This is a golf movie starring a very young Shia LaBeouf. I also believe this movie is on Disney Plus for those who haven't gotten a chance to see it, and I obviously absolutely recommend it because this movie is a certified hood classic. I'm not sure the exact year this is supposed to take place, but it's like way back in the old days. They're using wood clubs and whatnot, but this movie is about obviously a young Shia LaBeouf who is a very good golfer, and he wants to take it seriously and make it his profession, but his dad doesn't believe that golf is any way to earn a living and thinks that Shia should work. So what ends up happening is Shia ends up asking his dad for money to get into a tournament. His dad says, I will buy you in this one time, but if you do not win, you are done golfing forever. You can imagine what happens at the end of that tournament, and you can imagine what the rest of the movie is. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, and I don't think I spoiled too much by saying what I just said. But in terms of the movie just being a phenomenal plot having to do with sports, and how well it still stands up today, I think it absolutely deserves a top 10 placement on my all-time sports movie list. Moving on to number 9, we have The Mighty Ducks. I fucking love this movie, and I always will, and this is, again, on Disney Plus. I just watched it not that long ago. First off, you gotta understand I'm from Minnesota, and that's where this movie is not only based, but filmed, and actually part of the movie was filmed in the town I grew up in. And secondly, this movie is so weirdly nostalgic to me, and I'll explain it to you. Now, bear with me here. When I was really little, I was at a funeral once. Anyway, right after the funeral in a different part of the church is where everybody had the lunch, and when that lunch was going on, I went downstairs because there was like this little kids area with a TV, and it had the Mighty Ducks in it. So I watched like the entire thing down there, and that's where I fell in love with the movie. I didn't even know it was in Minnesota at the time. Now, what the movie's about is head coach Gordon Bombay, also known as Emilio Estevez, is a former hockey player turned into a lawyer. Well, he ends up getting arrested for drunk driving, and for his community service slash, punishment, he is sent to coach a kids hockey team. Now, as you can imagine, the hockey team is absolutely ass. Gordon Bombay is just an arrogant prick. In their first game, they end up getting absolutely destroyed by Gordon's old hockey coach, and that lights a fire in Gordon to try and get this team turned around and win a state championship. Again, I'm not here to spoil movies for anybody, but if you sit out on this movie, you're spoiling your own life. Mighty Ducks sits firmly at number 9 on my all-time list. Moving on to number 8, give me Rudy. Listen to me, if you have gone through school and graduated high school, there is a 99% chance that one of your teachers has showed you this at some point. Tell me if I'm telling lies there. But in case you haven't seen Rudy, the movie is obviously about football. It's about Notre Dame. It's based on a true story, and Rudy is a guy who is extremely small but loves playing football, has a huge heart, and his all-time goal is to play for Notre Dame. The movie's all about defying the odds. It's all about people laughing at him, telling him he's not good enough, not big enough, and him just continuing to prove people wrong the entire time. Again, I'm not here to necessarily spoil things for people, but probably judging by the cover, you can tell what happens in this movie. And while the movie is, phenomenal, number 8 on my list, I will say it does take a little bit away from it after hearing his teammates and Joe Montana, if you didn't know they played together, talk about Rudy. Apparently, not only is a ton of this movie like extremely fabricated, but also Rudy is not nearly as beloved as he appears in the film. He was said to be quote unquote an insufferable tryhard who often hurt other players in practice. And now while others did admit, that he was a friend, that while he did have good intentions, he was also undeniably a pain in the ass. So I mean, it's just kind of like, well, you watch it now and it's like, well, what is true and what's not? But you can't let that destroy one of the best football movies of all time, arguably the best football movie of all time. My opinion, football really doesn't have that great of films. Moving on to number 7, we have 42, the Jackie Robinson Story. This is another movie that's obviously based on true events. Now, while I will say this movie is fantastic, I do have to warn anybody who hasn't seen it, it's not the easiest to watch on your ears or really on your conscience. It's pretty vile. There are some scenes that are pretty hard to watch. There are some scenes that really make you understand how horrible people were back then. But at the same time, it's very educating, and it's also nice to watch the story of how Jackie Robinson basically just pushed right past racism and pave the road for, the future of African American athletes in the game of baseball and in general. Got a phenomenal story. It does have its nasty moments, but it's also filled with its feel-good moments, and it's undoubtedly one of the greatest sports movies I've ever watched. Moving on to number 6, we have Kingpin. Now, this isn't only just one of the best sports movies, but this is one of the funniest movies I have ever watched. It's about bowling, where the protagonist is Woody Harrelson and the antagonist is none other than Bill Murray. Basically, the story goes like this. Woody Harrelson used to be a young elite bowler. He ended up beating Bill Murray for some championship. Bill Murray gets jealous of him, ends up getting him set up at a bowling alley where some guys end up chopping Woody Harrelson's hand off. Then like 20 years later, after Woody's lost everything, he happens to run into an Amish guy at a bowling alley who was also Uncle Eddie from National Lampoons. And the movie is basically Woody Harrelson trying to convince this guy's Amish family to let him take him across the country to Reno and bowl in the national tournament, where he happens to run into, well, you guessed it, his arch nemesis, old Ernie McCracken, Bill Murray. This is a classic 90s shit flick, dude. It's just so obnoxious, so funny, so raunchy, got some of the best one-liners you'll ever hear, and is quite legitimately funny from the beginning all the way until the end. People think The Big Lebowski is the best bowling movie ever. It does not even compare to Kingpin on a laughing scale. Moving on to number 5, give me Happy Gilmore. You've seen this movie, come on, don't tell me you haven't. And if you're actually serious and you're like, oh, I just don't think I like it, trust me, you would love this movie. Everyone does. Obviously, it's about golf, but the story of the movie is Adam Sandler is a hockey player who can hit the piss out of a golf ball, but doesn't want to golf. He just wants to focus on hockey. Anyway, his grandma ends up losing her house because she doesn't have money to pay the bills. So in order for Adam Sandler to be able to buy her house back, he's got to switch to golf and win tournaments and earn the money. Again, this movie is just so over the top. Adam Sandler's character is just an enormous spaz, so he's beating the shit out of people all the time, yelling at people, throwing golf clubs. Ben Stiller's in the movie, and he's just as big of an asshole as he possibly can be. There's some wonderful cameos in it, and it's probably one of the most rewatchable sports movies ever in terms of just being able to literally put it on a loop. I really hope they don't fucking blow it in the second one, even though I can almost guarantee you, even though I will watch it, that movie is gonna be ass. Number 4, give me The Bad News Bears 2005. The old one is funny, but I think this one's better just because of Billy Bob Thornton. This movie's about Billy Bob Thornton, who, again, just like in a lot of other movies, plays an alcoholic, and he is so fucking good in those roles. Like, it's scary how good he is. Anyway, he also happens to be a former MLB pitcher in this movie, but he's the coach of a Little League baseball team, and kind of like the Mighty Ducks, they're absolute trash, and he tries to win a Little League championship with them. My dad took me to this movie when I was about 9 years old, man, and I still remember laughing my ass off the entire time right now in the theater. It's obnoxious in the best way possible. It's obnoxious as to how inappropriate he is around the kids. The things they have the kids say in this movie is way over the top, and there's probably a few lines of dialogue that would flat out just get canceled in today's society. If you haven't seen The Bad News Bears 2005, you absolutely have to. It's well deserved of a number 4 spot. Just make sure if your parents don't like bad language, make sure they can't hear it. Moving on to number 3, give me Miracle. This is another movie based on true events, and it's about the 1980 USA hockey team going into the Olympics and chasing a gold medal when their head coach was none other than the infamous Herb Brooks. Now, I should also say, while the movie is technically, about going for the medal, the main focus is about USA going after the Soviets. Well, I shouldn't say it like that, but the hockey team beating the Russian hockey team, and the amount of work and preparation that Herb Brooks and his players had to go through and endure in order to get there. My old high school history teacher showed me this movie, and I remember not being excited to watch it, and at the end of it, remember thinking it was one of the best movies I've ever watched. If anybody goes to Sauk Rapids Rice High School, tell Mr. Botten I said hi if he's still there. That guy was awesome, dude. One of the best teachers I ever had. Number 2, give me the Sandlot. Come on, like what do you mean? If this isn't in your top 5, you're a communist. There's few movies out there that I could tell you I have probably legitimately seen 100 times, and this is one of them. I watch it 15 times a summer, every summer. Again, you don't need to like baseball to watch this movie, even though it is about baseball. It's about a lot more. It's about a neighborhood full of kids in the 60s who got together every day after school and just played baseball and played it all summer, sun up to sundown. That's all they cared about was baseball. Well, as like kids normally do, they end up getting in trouble at the pool with the lifeguard. They end up playing another baseball team that they rival with and kicking the shit out of them. But out of all the things they do in the movie that gets them in a pickle, nothing tops one of the kids using his stepdad's signed Babe Ruth baseball in a game and hitting a home run with it over a fence into a backyard where they can't get it back. And that is where the fun truly starts. When you think of an actual certified classic, a movie that any kid, any adult can watch and enjoy throughout their entire life, this has to be one of the top 10, I'm talking all-time movies for that specific genre. Sandlot's number 2. And moving on to number 1, it's actually 2 movies, but they're from the same franchise. We have Major League 1 and 2. Classic comedy films here. Don't bother with the third one, it sucks, but the first 2, absolutely awesome. Historical reference, but these movies are about the Cleveland Indians, where they're horrible, and the owner wants to move them to Miami, so in order to stay in Cleveland, they have to try and turn it around and go after the World Series. Well, I should just say postseason. I think the World Series is in the second one. Anyway, both of these movies are so much fun to watch. The cast is just ridiculous, and each character having their own like traits and abilities makes it even funnier. You got Charlie Sheen, known as the Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn, who just throws the ball over 100 miles an hour but can't control it. Willie Mays Hayes, who's just an all-around speedy, flashy player but has moments of just being a complete dipshit. You got Serrano, the guy that's always fucking with voodoo in the locker room, blowing shit up. Bob Uecker's the commentator, and he's just hammered drunk in every game. There's just never a dull moment. It's non-stop antics in both of these movies. And weirdly, I have to side with my brother on this one. I do think the second one might even be funnier than the first. But I would not watch the second one unless you watch the first, otherwise it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Again, not appropriate films at all, but if I'm looking for a consistently good laugh, I will throw on Major League every time because it never ever fails me. Major League 1 and 2 are my favorite sports movies of all time. And that is gonna do it, ladies and gents, for my top 10 sports movies. Please let me know on this list where you agree or disagree. Also, if you want to show any support to this video, feel free to do it, because you know I appreciate any and all help. However, I'm gonna get this edited so you guys can watch it on time and get on with your Tuesday. I hope you guys have a safe rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.